Crew rescued from sinking ship in Hong Kong. Food productivity and security crucial for current crisis. State government committed to address rising living cost issue. Those are the headlines for tonight. I'm Handy Gui and this is TVS Nightline. An engineering vessel caught in a tropical storm off Hong Kong snapped into two on Saturday, July 2nd, and rescuers were trying to help crew members to safety before it sank into the choppy waters. Rescuers can be seen winching crew members from the stricken ship and into a helicopter. Authorities said 30 people were on board and 3 had been rescued so far. Search operations were underway for other crew members as Tropical Storm Chaba passes through the area some 300 kilometers southwest of the city. Storm Chaba skirted the global financial hub, bringing heavy rain and wind, restricting public transport and forcing many businesses to close. The city's weather forecaster lowered the storm warning to signal number 3 on Saturday afternoon, as Storm Chaba was set to make landfall in China's Guangdong province. The current increase in the cost of living due to scarcity of imported goods and the weakening of the ringgit has largely affected the daily lives of many. Thus, Premier of Sarawak, Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg, is of the opinion that the global crisis requires national or Sarawak policy to boost food production and security to deal with the issue.
Negeri Sarawak dasar negeri yang menaikkan produktiviti makanan kita iaitu food security. Dan dalam hal ini seperti mana yang saya katakan, it's very important that you have commercial agriculture based on technology. Kalau guna teknologi more efficient, less cost. Ini dapat mententeramkan atau stabilize the price.
Abang Johari expressed that the global crisis is not only faced by Malaysia, but also the whole world. The recession is largely due to economic uncertainties and the war in Europe.
Jadi, saya rasa dalam keadaan demikian, selalunya dia tak lama, 1 tahun atau 2 tahun, lepas tu balik normal.
To help ease the burden faced by the public, he said for the time being, the state government can only increase subsidies for energy and rentals for government buildings. Abang Johari said this after officiating the state's first rover mode ceremony at the Kuching waterfront today. The event, organized for the first time in the state by the Malaysian Scout Federation Sarawak branch, was also attended by Scout members from Peninsular Malaysia, Sabah, Brunei, and Indonesia. The Sarawak government has formulated its own strategy to stem rising living costs through the Post-COVID-19 Development Strategy PCDS 2030. Chief Political Secretary to the Premier Fazruddin Abdul Rahman said the state government has anticipated the impacts of the pandemic onto the economy and have taken steps to address this issue. Fazruddin said the state government have long deliberated the impacts of COVID-19 and necessary steps have been taken to curb inflation and ensure the welfare of Sarawakians are continued to be taken care of. He said this when met by reporters after officiating at a Gotong Royong program at Taman 1, Matang on July 2nd. Fazruddin, who is also Tupong assemblyman, said while everyone is feeling the pinch due to the price hike on essential items, the state government, through its leaders, will continue to protect the welfare of all Sarawakians. He added that Sarawak will be able to bounce back from the global economic crisis through the strategy, but it takes time. Anticipating an annual growth of 6 to 8% per annum, he urged Sarawakians to equip themselves with the necessary skills as the industry will require skilled professionals when needed. Now, there have been requests and talks on the possibility of gazetting Deepavali as a public holiday in Sarawak. However, according to the Premier of Sarawak, Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg, the quota for gazetted holidays in the state is already full. As such, the state government has asked the State Attorney General to study whether Deepavali can be gazetted as another one of the state's public holidays. Abang Johari acknowledged that the issue had been brought up many times in the past, hence reiterating his stance on trying his best to resolve it. He said this after the earth-breaking ceremony for the building extension project to the Gurdwara Sahib on Saturday, July 2nd. The Sarawak government has agreed to provide a site and allocation for the construction of a control post in Lawas, located in the north of the state. Without giving a timeline for the implementation of the post, the commander of the 1st Infantry Division, Major General Datuk Zulkifli Mustafa, said the state government had allocated 1.3 hectares of land in the area for the purpose of the construction site.
So, state government bersetuju dengan sokongan padu daripada Premier dan juga Datuk Awang Ali Tengah telah memberi kita sebidang tanah seluas 1.3 hektar di Lawas untuk dibina pos itu nanti. Pos ini juga nanti akan dibina atas dana daripada kerajaan negeri.
Meanwhile, on another matter, Zulkifli said in Op Bamboo that was carried out in Lawas recently, cigarettes worth 4.7 million ringgit were successfully seized.
Sebelum kita melaksanakan operasi kekal di Lawas, kita laksanakan dulu operasi bambu. Operasi bambu nama dia di kawasan Lawas. Kita berjaya menangkap 2 buah trailer yang membawa rokok. So, jumlah rokok tu adalah 4.7 juta ringgit.
He was speaking to reporters after the 56th anniversary parade of the 1st Division at Camp Panrinson, involving 27 officers and 463 personnel, led by the commanding officer of the 8th Royal Artillery Regiment, Lieutenant Colonel Jamaluddin Ahmad Tajuddin. At the same time, a parade in conjunction with the 31st Brigade anniversary will also be organized at 31 Brigade Junako Camp, Cebu on July 5th, with the theme Kesejahteraan Keluarga Tentera Darat Diutamakan, Kedaulatan Negara Terjamin. MIRI finally has its own histopathology lab contributed by the Shenyang Group of companies. The 1.83 million ringgit lab was officially handed over to MIRI Hospital on July 1st, witnessed by the Minister of Transport Dr. Sri Lee Kim Shin, and is set to improve the quality of services for MIRI patients. In the past, MIRI Hospital had no choice but to send all specimens to Kuching to be processed. Therefore, with the much-needed lab, it will enable MIRI Hospital to process the specimens faster and would save time, as well as allow the doctors to be more responsive to patients' expectations.
Now, if we don't have the lab here, we have to send all our specimens to Kuching. And the turnaround time may take, 2 weeks? Or more. Sometimes your specimens might be lost in between. Your mailing process and so on. So it's indeed very inconvenient, and that also affect the treatment of our patients here. And I think our specialists here will also get very frustrated because they don't get a result. If they don't get a result, they can't proceed. Our doctors, specialists cannot proceed in the treatment. So this goes to show how important it is that we have this molecular lab set up here.
Adding further, Lee, who is also Senadin Assemblyman, said the lab will enable MIRI Hospital to provide diagnosis services to patients in MIRI and the surrounding regions.
And with this new setup, we estimate the better compliance of sample of turnaround time, or TAT, within 2 weeks. As a consequence, more prompt treatment can be offered to patients once the histology diagnosis is known. The service impact of this lab goes beyond MIRI, as we also cover the whole northern Sarawak. So MIRI will also be catering for the patients from Marudi, Limbang, Lawas, and even from Bintulu.
My Sejahtera Traveller's Pass not required starting July 4th. Wildfire forces hundreds of tourists to evacuate. Right here on TVS Nightline, stay tuned. Thank you for staying with us. Now, all government-linked companies, GLCs, and government-linked investment companies, GLICs, need to appoint representatives of the Malaysian Trade Union Congress, MTUC, as their board members. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said the move was an effort to add value to transparency, apart from enabling the voice of employees to be taken into account in all decisions made by the board. Adding further, the Prime Minister also described MTUC, which represents 16.5 million workers in the country, as a good government partner and plays an important role in helping to revive the country's economy, which is now entering the transition phase to endemic. With the Pejuang Kaum Pekerja Sejak 1949 as its slogan, Ismail Sabri said the MTUC showed the important role led by the workers themselves and also received government recognition. As a result, MTUC officials are given the honor of being members of various statutory and special bodies, including the National Labour Advisory Council, the Employees Provident Fund EPF, and the Social Security Organisation.
Menjadi harapan kerajaan supaya wakil pekerja berkenaan turut memainkan peranan dalam urusan pentadbiran nanti. Golongan pekerja seharusnya sama-sama menjaga kestabilan, perpaduan dan hubungan industri bukan hanya dalam kalangan pekerja tetapi juga kerajaan dan majikan bagi kejayaan proses pembangunan negara.
Meanwhile, the Prime Minister also announced an annual grant allocation of 4 million ringgit to MTUC to implement significant awareness and training programs. Ismail Sabri added that MTUC also needed to create a more holistic, effective, and comprehensive education plan for its union members as well as other Keluarga Malaysia workers. Meanwhile, in a related development, Ismail Sabri said the government is implementing short, medium, and long-term measures to address the cost of living issue. These included providing 70 billion ringgit in subsidies this year to ensure that the people were not heavily burdened by the situation. Adding to that, he said that the rising cost of living is not only happening in Malaysia but all over the world. According to the Prime Minister, the inflation rate in Malaysia, currently stood at 2%, is still considered as low compared with other countries such as the United States 9%, European countries between 8 and 10%, and the United Kingdom at 12%. Effective July 4th, Malaysians returning to the country will no longer need to complete the Traveller's Pass feature in the My Sejahtera application. However, Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin said that this would only apply to Malaysian citizens before being expanded in stages to social pass holders, student passes and permanent residents. As such, he explained that this relaxation is to facilitate the return of Malaysian citizens into Malaysia, in addition to the current health system being at a good and satisfactory level. He added that the Traveller's Pass feature will still be displayed in the My Sejahtera application and needed to be completed by foreigners before entering the country. Now, the ringgit is likely to trade around the current level of between 4.40 and 4.41 versus the US dollar next week, with all eyes on Bank Negara Malaysia's Monetary Policy Committee meeting on July 6. There is a possibility that there might be an increase in the overnight policy rate OPR in light of the Consumer Price Index outturn, which came in at 2.8% in May. Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad Chief Economist Dr. Muhammad Afzanizam Abdul Rashid said, in light of this, the real rate of interest has gone into negative territory given the prevailing OPR of 2%. As such, he added that there is justification for higher OPR. Meanwhile, for the week just ended, the ringgit was traded mostly lower against the US dollar on technical correction due to profit-taking activities and a hawkish stance by the US Federal Reserve to keep raising interest rates. The ringgit fell against the greenback on Friday compared with a week earlier. The local note, however, was traded higher against a basket of major currencies on a Friday-to-Friday basis. The ringgit appreciated against the Singapore dollar and rose vis-a-vis the Japanese yen. It also gained against the British pound and strengthened versus the euro. Now on to some global affairs. Pakistanis are struggling to buy sacrificial cattle for the upcoming Eid al-Adha festival amid skyrocketing prices after the country's inflation rate hit a 13-year high.
बहुत हाई है और बहुत महंगा है और इसके हिसाब से अगर देखा जाए महंगाई बहुत ज़्यादा हो गई है और देखने में ये है कि आप जिस रेंज में लेना है आपको उस रेंज में मिलना बहुत मुश्किल है जिस हिसाब से हम लेते थे उसके हिसाब से तब छोटा बच्चा आपको लेना तो जानवर लेना थोड़ा सा मुश्किल हो गया है पिछली दफ़ा 1 घंटे में जानवर ले गए थे आज सुबह से घूम रहे हैं जानवर नहीं मिल रहा क्योंकि जो रेंज पिछली बार थी उस रेंज में तो बहुत छोटा जानवर ही मिल रहा है बहुत मुश्किल हो गया है कि बंदा क्या करे अब मैं सुबह आप यकीन करोगे मेरी गाड़ी वहाँ खड़ी हुई है और अब मैंने ये छोटा जानवर देखा है
Meanwhile, livestock trader Umar Farooq said transportation costs were making the cattle even more expensive.
जानवर सर इसलिए महंगा पीछे से ही महंगा मिला है ट्रांसपोर्ट और डीजल पेट्रोल महंगा होने की वजह से सब कुछ महंगा है देखें जानवर जो पिछले साल हमने 2,20,000 का बेचा है वो अभी 4,20,000 का बेच रहे हैं सिर्फ 2 लाख रुपए का इजाफा इसलिए है क्योंकि महंगाई की वजह से
Fuel prices have risen about 90% since the end of May, after the government scrapped costly fuel subsidies in a bid to cut its surging fiscal deficit and secure a resumption of an International Monetary Fund bailout program. Muslims in Pakistan will celebrate Eid al-Adha, one of the 2 most important festivals of the Islamic calendar, on July 10th, according to local media. Animals such as cows, goats and camels are slaughtered to commemorate a sacrifice by the Prophet Ibrahim of his son on God's command. A wildfire forced the evacuation of hundreds of tourists on Friday, July 1st, from a holiday resort in Spain. Emergency services helped tourists to evacuate the resort on the Costa Brava in the northeast of Spain to take shelter at a local leisure center.
Ich habe eigentlich eher an ein Abenteuer gedacht. Ich fand es extrem interessant, die Helikopter zu sehen, wie sie die Runden gedreht haben über die Anlage in einer Schnelligkeit. Und also es war sehr faszinierend zu beobachten, auch wie sie das Wasser dann hochgeholt haben, um zu löschen. Das war sehr interessant. Angst habe ich nicht gespürt, allerdings die Kinder schon. Und dann ist man natürlich auch als Mutter so ein bisschen emotional dabei. Aber nein, also ich habe keine Angst gespürt.
We never thought about cancelling the holidays. We just recognized, oh, it's getting closer and closer. So we left the hotel or the resort and just thought about, oh, what's coming next. We kind of had a little angry feeling about maybe it's the fire gets to our resort and our stuff that we left has been left over, but we never thought about leaving or cancelling the holidays.
Una insolita esperienza, insomma, non ce l'aspettavamo, però è stato tutto funzionato, tutto bene.
Firefighters said 350 people were evacuated during the operation. Beachgoers watched yellow water tankers fly just over the buildings to load water from the sea to fight a wildfire that has burned more than 70 hectares of forest. Emergency services said they expect to control the fire during the evening, and the evacuated tourists hope to return to their holiday resort during the night. Now wrapping up the Nightline. Liverpool forward Mohamed Salah on Friday, July 1st, signed a long-term contract extension, putting an end to a lengthy saga about his future at the Premier League club. The Egypt international has signed an extension until 2025, with the deal coming after Sadio Mane left to join German giants Bayern Munich on a 3-year deal last month.
In a statement on the club website, Salah expressed his excitement and is looking forward to winning more trophies with the club. Salah scored 23 league goals for Liverpool last season to share the Premier League Golden Boot with Tottenham Hotspur's Son Heung-min. He was named the Professional Footballers Association Player of the Year and also took the top honor from the Football Writers Association. Salah, who joined the Merseyside outfit from Italian side AS Roma in 2017, has scored 156 goals in 254 appearances, would have been available to leave them on a free transfer at the end of next season. He is now expected to lead a new-look frontline for Jurgen Klopp's side in the absence of Mane and Divock Origi, who left the club, with Uruguayan forward Darwin Núñez having joined in the close season.
The ability to master multiple languages is definitely an impressive feat, even more so when it comes to our local Iban language. Join us on Sejahtera Asia tomorrow to witness Nick Jansen, a content creator from the Netherlands who are able to speak the language, with hosts Alexa Nelian and Sharon Kezia, 7:45 a.m. on TVS Astro Channel 122 and My Freeview. See the world closer with TVS as we bring you the latest news updates both locally and internationally, just a click away by heading on to our website at TVSTVMY or follow us on our social media platforms. That's all the time we have for TVS Nightline. I'm Handy Gui. Thank you for watching.